So most of you may not be aware, you may be aware, since this morning, there's been an active military situation happening in Venezuela. And the reason I call it a military situation is that some are calling it a coup attempt by Juan Guaido, he's got soldiers, they're wearing blue armbands and blue masks. They're seen arresting people. There's a video of 2 National Guard trucks and they're running at each other. Then they arrest one side. You've got Juan Guaido is saying it's Operation Liberty. They're taking over and they're ousting Maduro. There are a lot of left-wing anti-war activists that are saying it's a coup. Call it whatever you want, okay? I'm not here to get in the middle. I just want to talk about what's going on and present to you to the best of my ability. As of right now, I'm filming this a little bit before, about an hour before this actually goes up. I've collected a series of tweets from different journalists who have been tracking the situation, and we're going to go over kind of like a short timeline. And I really want to talk about the propaganda effort. You really, really got to be careful. There's a lot of people on the right don't like socialism, don't like what Venezuela is doing. I can understand that. There are a lot of people on the left that don't like U.S. imperialism and don't like what's happening. The point is, everyone's trying to trick you to push their agenda. I don't know what is or isn't true, but I will try to break down some of the things that I'm seeing. We can talk about it. Alejandro Alvarez is a journalist based out of D.C. I know him. He's a good dude. And he said 5 hours ago, it's about 6 hours from your time, Venezuelan media reporting unusual military movements in Caracas. Guaido will make a statement shortly. Guaido went live on Periscope. This is crazy. From La Carlota Air Base in Caracas, surrounded by soldiers he says are loyal to him. He's calling Venezuelans into the streets to support the military. Nationwide protests are planned tomorrow. I just want to point out how crazy it is. They're using Periscope. This technology is having a real impact. There was an incident, I think it was called, it's been a while, it's been years, Protective Edge in 2012, where the Al-Qassam brigades in Palestine were in a flame war on Twitter with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. They're tweeting at each other while in active conflict. We're now seeing the use of social media. It's been escalating. Look, social media is not a game, okay? This is serious. Juan Guaido using Periscope live streaming to tell people we're moving in. We then see this. Alejandro says, with Guaido on a base and reports of military on the move, we should be looking at a big defection in the middle of Venezuela's capital. Opposition leader Leopoldo Lopez has been freed from house arrest. So they brought out this dude. He was like fairly anti-Maduro. I don't know too much about him, but he was basically arrested, house arrest. He's now free. Things are getting active. There's live gunfire. You know, I don't want to bury the lead. Live gunfire, protests in the street. It is getting crazy. Alejandro says, Guaido, tweeting about an uprising to oust Maduro, the final phase of Operation Liberty. Maduro spokesman Jorge P. Suv is already calling this a coup attempt. Both claim the army, or at least parts of it, is still on their side. We have this video. Tear gas is flying. Pro-Maduro versus pro-Guaido forces throwing tear gas at each other. It's crazy because they have guns. And you know, it would be great if things just... Here's what I tweeted. A coup is preferable to a civil war. Because if civil war breaks out, that's... You know, I'm not saying a coup is a good thing. I'm just saying it's a peaceful transition is better than bloodshed and live gunfire. But we have the gunfire now, and I don't think this is going to end really well. So here's a video we see. It's morning now. Rebel soldiers have been beckoning people to join them on the highway. They're occupying. Come, don't be afraid. Freedom has arrived. And you can see the blue. It's kind of hard to make out, but they're wearing blue masks, blue armbands. I'm assuming this is so they can identify each other. So that if conflict breaks out, they're not going to target each other. It also makes it clear for the pro-Maduro forces. I do have other tweets I want to pull up. So here's a video from a few hours ago. People are on a bridge. This is where it gets crazy. Check this out. So we can see this group of men surrounding another National Guard vehicle and arresting other soldiers. Now, we don't know who these people are. Alejandro says it's hard to tell who's who here. Guaido's rebels have been using blue armbands, but the shot isn't clear enough so we can see them. People are sharing this, claiming one thing or another. I'm seeing people claiming that this is pro-Guaido forces arresting pro-Maduro forces. It's impossible to tell. But people need to win confidence to win for their faction. This is not going to end with, like, one side conquering the other. It's going to end when the people of Venezuela decide they're going to support one or the other. If the military on either side feels they're losing, they may then try and side with the winners out of fear for their lives. So people are naturally going to say, see this? This proves X group is arresting Y group. We just don't know. you can take the word of the other people saying, is this Guaido's forces arresting Maduro forces? We really don't know. Because regardless, if it is Guaido, it's good news for Guaido. If it is Maduro, it's good news for Maduro because they need to win that confidence. Soldiers on vehicles moving inside the La Carlota Air Base, which is now, my understanding, on fire. It's getting intense. This might, man, I don't even know if you can call this a coup attempt at this point. Like, sure, you can phrase it a coup as they're trying to take over or whatever, but you've got a large faction of active armed forces mobilizing. We have a 21-year-old, and he's just saying he's with it till the end, whatever happens. And then we have this, Guaido is addressing crowds. He says there's no way back. Let's pop over to the next tweet. So we have, this is Sotiri Dimpinodis. Sorry, man, I'm not trying to pronounce your name wrong. Dimpinodis? Sorry. But I just want to scroll down to some of the other videos he's captured, or he's shared. Here we can see you got a bunch of National Guard vehicles coming across the bridge. Let's jump down. Active gunshots. Check this out.
Parecería, ¿no?
Difícil establecer, Juan.
Parecerían disparos.
Sí.
No sabemos de qué lado provienen. Si del lado de...
Una explosión más fuerte se escucha.
Si el...
The next video he has apparently an active gunfight by the Colectivos. These are pro-Maduro gang members. These are the people that were threatening me when I was in Venezuela. So you can hear the gunfire. These are groups, they ride around on motorcycles, they're pro-Maduro, they're called, it's like collectives, right? When I was there, I was being threatened that they were going to come for me because they were, you know, I got called a spy and I had to flee the country. I wonder if I have the, yeah, I actually have it behind me. Actually, that blue thing behind me, you can see it right there. Let me point to that. That's one of the alerts they put out. It actually calls me like a media mercenary sent to destabilize, you know, the revolution. And in response to that, I started getting threats. So here we have this video. He says some lone Venezuelan National Guard forces surrendering towards National Guard troops of interim Juan Guaido at Francisco Fajardo Highway in Caracas. But I'm not sure how he knows this, so I don't want to say it's confirmed. It may be true. He's not a verified journalist, but he does have a little gear next to his name, which people might assume is a verification badge. I'm not saying that's to question his credibility at all. It's just, these are just videos that have been collected. We don't really know how or why. I'm trying to make sure, just don't jump to conclusions about what this is. It may be, he may be right, he may be wrong. I don't know, okay? Protesters are occupying and blocking the front side of the Maracaibo military fort in Venezuela and are calling for the military troops inside to join interim President Guaido. So we have a lot more protests, we have more breaking news, and I want to move now to Thomas Van Linge, who is a reporter, and so this is way back earlier in the day. I want to move forward because there's been a few things that they've highlighted that I think are really important. I cannot stress enough how significant the switching of La Carlota Air Base is towards the opposition. This base was a major stronghold for the regime in Caracas. In 2017, protesters tried to storm it numerous times. He's got a live stream, he's got photos. So you can see Guaido and Leopoldo Lopez. This is huge. So that air base is a serious deal. This is Caracas. It's their biggest city. Now we've got just some other quick updates. Carl Nassman says, Caracas-based radio station RCR 750 has been taken off the air by Venezuela's National Telecommunications Agency. They're trying to restrict the flow of information. I can only say this. When it comes to someone trying to shut down the flow of information, they're probably the bad guys. But as we know, Maduro has been rather, I don't know, authoritarian. And you've had people, even on the left, people like, I did a video yesterday where there was a guy in the New York Times defending socialism, criticizing Venezuela for being a kleptocracy. So, yes, there's a lot of problems. I'm not saying the opposition is right or wrong, but I think it's fair to point out there are a lot of problems with Maduro. There's that video, there's a video of him on television, and he eats like an empanada at a time when people are starving. Carl Nassman reporting, the U.S. Embassy is warning American citizens in Venezuela to shelter in place if they are unable to leave the country. But basically, get out now. So, look, what's happening in Venezuela, this is like just a collection. It's not all inclusive. Obviously, I don't know everything. Excuse me. I just pulled together some threads from some of the journalists on Twitter who have been collecting information. But one thing I can't stress enough. I went to Venezuela. I saw empty stores. I saw the depleted malls, like the closed storefronts, the lack of food, the lack of technology. I was there. Okay, we drove around. We hung out with a Venezuelan guy. He showed us these places. There are people in the United States on the left showing photos of what I would consider to be a Potemkin village. These stores that are stocked with food. It may be that some regions have food and some don't, but I personally doubt that. I know other journalists who have been to Venezuela. The food's not there. So it gets really scary to me when I see high-profile Americans on the anti-war left showing this propaganda in these photos saying this is all real. It's hard to know it's true, right? In my experience in Venezuela, I really don't believe I was in the bad neighborhoods or anything. I was in Caracas. We drove around. I was shown around. And what I saw was widespread depletion of resources. We had a huge bag of money. But then you see these activists, they show up to they'll come and they'll film what I would call a Potemkin village. They're places that are set up to look okay to produce propaganda. And maybe these Americans who do this think that's how it really is in Venezuela. But when you have the government showing you around, telling you what to look at, you can't trust it. I went there. I had no minders. We had no guides. And I actually was forced to flee due to death threats and very, very bad. I was accused of being a spy. I have friends who have gone there and said the same thing. We saw the same thing years later. The money is worthless. The stores are empty. People are hungry. It's really happening, and the government's producing propaganda. I'm not saying it's going to be better with Guaido. I don't know. I really don't. I just want to make sure that I stress when you see all of this, people are lying to you left and right, and it's hard to know what's true and what isn't. American interests are involved. For BRICS interests, Russia, they're involved. It's happening. Something's happening. In my opinion, right now, and again, I'm shooting this early, I think Guaido might take it. He might win. Because, I'll say it again, I saw people who were hungry. I saw people who were in trouble. And those people are going to be angry. But we'll see. I don't know. So I've got another video coming up for you at 4 p.m. on my main channel, youtube.com/TimCast. Stick around, and I will see you then.